Hello? Everyone is very interested in what awaits us in 2025.
I definitely think we need to talk about this because an amazing year awaits us. It is ambiguous. It would be great if people understood what would happen in terms of politics and economics, so they know how to adapt to the events of the year and not get left behind. We are really facing new upheavals, and they can be either fatal or very resourceful. Before we move into 2025, let's recall 2024. I have a few predictions that I made at the beginning of 2024, and even at the end of 2023, if you review them, you can synchronize the events of the year and see that yes, 95% of what was stated in the predictions happened as it was stated. And by the way, there are several interesting things in that prediction. We can highlight them today. For those who haven't watched, you can check the prediction. I will leave the link in the description.
Veselin, in one of your predictions, you said that the special military operation would end in 2024.
I said that at the end of 2024, a moment will come that will either freeze the operation, end it, or the operation will transition to another phase, meaning a distinctly different phase. I would say this is a very important moment. Right now, the political climate is already noticeable. You can see how Europe and America are preparing for possible negotiations. This is, of course, related to Biden and Trump, who have swapped places, which means the conjuncture and the probabilities of events that were supposed to happen have changed. If Biden and his team had stayed in office, we would have seen active developments for an extended period, for another 1.5 to 2 years. And it would have been a very exhausting story, but it is precisely Trump who gives us a chance to follow a different scenario. This was evident even at the end of 2023. And basically, we can now expect that by the end of 2024, the special military operation will transition to another phase. I said that the operation is ending and recovery is beginning. This does not mean that it will immediately become easy, good, and simple. No, this will also be a process, but it will no longer be as aggressive and painful. It will be a completely different story. And it will continue throughout 2025 and lead us to certain events, which I believe will be very resourceful for most people, although some may not see it that way. But this concerns the forecast for 2025, which we will talk about now. In general, 2024 was a traffic light. It closed old scenarios, froze scenarios that are no longer viable, meaning it slowed them down. I would say the word that comes to mind is waltzed. They are becoming less influential. They still exist, but Biden is still in office, and what's the point? That's it. His influence, the influence of his team has ended. There is a winding down, a waltzing of this process. Active scenarios, viable scenarios that are interesting from the perspective of, let's say, the higher leadership. Our global higher leadership in terms of the evolution of humanity are on the contrary being revealed and unfolding. And here Russia emerges as an overt political and military leader. Russia emerges as an overt economic leader. This does not mean that we have results here and now. This indicates that all the prerequisites for this result already exist, and they will 100% be realized, because a seed always turns into a tree, and we always arrive where we are headed. This year's arrangement was incredibly powerful, and next year will undoubtedly be a continuation. And if people would like to summarize the year 2024, you must definitely do so, my dear, because this is the entry point into the next period. If for you the year 2024 has been more of a year of stagnation, a year when you found yourself in a dead end, where you lost relationships, lost your job, perhaps lost confidence in yourself, lost perspective, where something has frozen or completely stopped, I want to say that this is not bad. It is actually very good if you have hit some kind of bottom, which you think, well, that's it. It can't get any worse in terms of money, relationships, or conditions. Perhaps there are health issues. Then it's time for you to push off, and the year 2025 will help you with that. If for you the year 2024 has been very resourceful in terms of closing some old scenarios, completely new ones have opened up for you. These new scenarios may be quite challenging in terms of the many things that need to be done for them to become a tangible reality for you. Maybe you started some new projects, maybe you entered new relationships, who knows? Maybe you invested some amount of funds or money into something that is not very active yet, but you feel good about it, you like it, you want to engage in it, and most importantly, life is giving you a chance to move it forward. It is not slowing you down, it is not limiting you. Then it means that in 2025, with the right focus and effort, you will definitely be able to develop this scenario, which is productive for you in any field, and it will bring you very good results, and quite soon. Therefore, summarizing the year 2024, according to the scenario I followed, for example, I closed projects that were successful, brought income, and in general made me happy. But I closed them intentionally in order to pursue other projects that are much more interesting, much more, in my opinion, appealing, substantial, and resourceful. I see that the development of projects does not happen just like that, as I would like, but rather takes time. But I see enormous potential in this. I know that in 2025, these projects will develop and become a good platform for a large number of people.
Thank you very much for sharing your story. I am sure that for everyone it is important to summarize the year 2024. But what will 2025 be about? What will it be about?
I can say the motto of the year 2025, from the perspective of the sum of meanings, numbers, 25 is 9. 9 is when a higher power manifests, which brings order to the world. That is, everyone was given a chance to understand their intentions, their needs, to voluntarily give up something, and to strive for something voluntarily. And so we passed this traffic light zone. Everyone said it was a karmic year, it balances something, it's like everyone gets what they deserve. But in reality, the karmic year is the next one. That is, the rewards will be there. Since the higher guidance is ambiguous, God does not walk in straight paths. All who reject the divine presence, all who mock the idea of God as a fact or essence that governs our universe, my dear ones, be prepared to encounter this influence, and perhaps you won't like it very much. Or perhaps, on the contrary, you will be incredibly surprised at how generous our universe can be. That is, the year will be full of magic and wonder, but to a greater extent for those who are open-minded and ready to engage in an open dialogue with the intelligent creative energy that sustains life, both on our Earth and in the solar system and in our universe. In 2025, a scenario will work in a nutshell, which sounds literally like this. If you can't, we'll teach you. If you can't, we'll help you. If you don't want to, we'll make you. And there are inert people who prefer to live in the position of, if difficulties arise, I will freeze and wait for it to pass. And I will wait until I find myself in a very difficult life situation. When I start having problems with health, money, relationships, everything will fall apart. And I will simply be forced to get off my butt and do something. People with such an inert life position will suffer totally in 2025 because life will force them literally under duress, and it will be painful. That is, people will really lose even more than they lost in 2024. And it is very important to simply reassess your attitude towards life, because the year 2025 is a year when you intentionally go to learn, you acquire a new profession, you gain new skills, and you obtain new knowledge. It is a year that opens up opportunities to completely change your life, but for that, you need to actively engage in this change. That is, you need to change yourself in terms of life skills and in terms of your attitude towards life. And then life will start to change actively from the outside, and then it will be a very cool reward. A lot of help will come to those who take an active life position. People who want to change themselves, want to bring some value to society, their creative potential, be useful to others, participate in social projects, charitable, community projects, people who will treat their work with love no matter what they do. They will receive spontaneous help, the most unexpected. Help will come from people. Some money will appear by chance. Opportunities will open up. For active people, socially active, I am sitting here crumpled. The year will be simply amazing indeed for socially active people. And this year is also about the importance of expressing creativity and artistry. As the highest creative force manifests, the right to rule the ball becomes superior to everything. That is, people will not be given the chance to manage reality as they were, for example, at this stage. The strategy that is being offered to us in 2025 is as follows. You stop doing the same things in the same way. Ordinary scenarios will not work at all. By the way, this was noticeable in 2024. People wake up, go to work, but do everything the same way they did yesterday. But for some reason, they did this yesterday, and it brought them sufficient income, satisfying their needs in life. So today, it doesn't work that way anymore. People have financial problems, and all efforts seem like cotton. You do, but the dreams are not there. You have the feeling that you are just stuck somewhere in a swamp and you can't get out of it. Friends who has such feelings in 2024, right now at the end of 2024, please write in the comments if you are experiencing them. And at the end of this video, I will advise you on what to do about it. The year 2025 is the year when all those familiar behavior patterns in all areas of life that have always worked or have not worked very well stop working. We have simply come to a year where everything is changing. And the change will happen in such a way that if you do not change yourself, you will face a colossal number of problems and difficulties, and life will literally force you to change your relationships and behavior. In other words, you will have to completely change your worldview as it is.
Selin, thank you. It's very clear how to behave in private life in 2025. But our private life is also influenced by external events, such as in politics and economics. What will happen there?
Economics. But people are more interested in what will happen to the dollar and the ruble. We see that Russia has now taken a course towards economic and political independence. Moreover, Russia is rebuilding the sphere of its political interests, and BRICS is already a confirmation of that. And we can expect in 2025 the dollar will significantly begin to lose its influence. At the same time, at some point there will be a feeling that relations between Europe and America are warming, as if they are improving, but this will be an illusion. It will be a lie. Ultimately, the ingenuity of our country's leadership, our leadership is very inventive, will lead to Russia significantly strengthening both as a power and as an economic player on the stage, and the ruble will strengthen as well, because nature will significantly assist in this. We are facing cataclysms. These cataclysms will affect the energy resources of countries and will influence the economic climate in those countries. Because nature is already becoming a creative aspect, it begins to create its own reality, the reality that interests it. Nature is no longer interested in people, the consumers. And we have come to the moment when consumerism or childishness, this immaturity, this inability to understand that life consists not of a huge number of things that you acquire, that you surround yourself with, not from endless production and surplus of everything that we have already produced. We will not consume this in hundreds of years. And life consists of the fact of life itself, and nature will teach us this. In countries where consumption has become the foundation of life, cataclysms will manifest themselves to a greater extent to show people the value of life. And the value of life can only be felt in some posthumous experiences, in situations where you risk losing this life, where a threat looms over you that is much greater than losing a job or being unable to pay a loan. And nature will put us in such situations. And here, both the political and economic climate will be leveling in favor of the Eurasian zone, because according to the rhythm of the evolutionary pendulum, when the leading creative force, or the one determining what the socio-economic climate on the planet will be, it is currently directed from the west to the Eurozone, the Eurasian zone. This includes Russia, China, and further beyond. These are countries that were previously considered third world countries. The top becomes the bottom becomes the top. And this period will last for 4 years. For 4 years, there will be replacement, overturning. And when it was said that the poles would be overturned, this is precisely about the economic and political overturning. And the year 2025 is the year of unfolding these realities and the arrangement from the perspective of the higher leadership. As I have already mentioned, the higher leadership. This is the divine guidance and the manifestation of the Creator's will on planet Earth as the leading and law-establishing force. And nature will be of help to all of us. Therefore, I would like to draw attention to what to do with the ruble, what to do with the dollar, what to do with the digital coin, and everyone who plays with digital coins, keep playing. This is the future. We cannot escape this. It is an inevitable fact. The movement of cryptocurrencies will be legalized, and the state will strive to take control of this area of activity. But this means that the state will also support this area of activity so that it can develop. The state is interested in controlling the movement of funds, and these interests will be protected. For citizens, this will be a certain stress, because transitioning from one form of financial communication to another is certainly not the most pleasant, and the most stress will occur in the year 2026. As for the ruble and the dollar, there will be a struggle in the market, but the priority will still be the Eurasian zone. In the end, the dollar will naturally collapse. It is inevitable. We just need to observe this. Investing in the Russian economy is great, and it is normal to invest in the economy of your own country. And it would be foolish to invest elsewhere, if only because we live in this country. It feeds us. And it is very good to give this country the opportunity to develop at its own expense. If you invest in something, it supports you. Well, the Russian economy will grow. It won't grow with global leaps, but the growth will be steady and persistent. Bamboo grows quickly, but it doesn't yield much. The oak grows slowly, but it grows solidly, and the Russian economy is developing in exactly the same way now.
The universe of investments is great, but what should those do who have nothing to invest?
A person always has something to invest. Most people are simply mistaken about how investments are actually born. They think that in order to invest, you need to have some reserve of free funds that you can put somewhere, and it will work for you and bring you dividends. Moreover, I know a large number of wealthy people who have lost their fortunes in investments. The story was that a person had several tens or hundreds of millions of rubles, and he started playing with investments and ended up losing his fortune. He learned to invest, but the money ran out. And since the reputational aspect is important in experience, no one is willing to let him invest other people's funds because he has not confirmed his expertise in the investment area. You can play in investments at the market level either under the guidance of a professional or independently, as if learning from your mistakes. This is when you have money. When you don't have money, you need to invest in yourself. The highest dividends come from investing in yourself. Because we are the ones who perform useful actions that bring money into our lives. If we are incapable of anything, if we lack good, professional, in-demand skills in the market, if we lack objectivity in our interactions with life, if our self-awareness is so narrow that we are constantly in a victim position, we suffer. We believe that the world is unfair, that we work so hard, yet nothing works out for us. Expert self-development and individual personal self-development are two areas of investment that need to be addressed in 2025. I have already said that this year is for those who are revealing their potential, who are changing themselves, and you can only change yourself in two ways. I am developing as an expert, I am developing as a person, and here I want to give an example for people who are in a victim position. Like, I'm an expert in my field, why isn't anything working out for me? Well, then I'm not such an expert. High-level experts are always in demand, and people are always willing to pay big money for their expertise. Where does expertise come from? From experience, from skills developed over a lifetime. And if you imagine yourself as a store with goods, and these goods are your knowledge of life, your worldview, your feelings about the world, and your professional skills, people will come to you exactly for what you have. If you are a victim, they will come to make you an even greater victim. If you are not very professional, people will come to you for your low-level skills, and accordingly will pay small amounts of money. If you do not understand how the economic model of the world is built, people will come to you for your misunderstanding, and you will not receive a perfect economic model of your world. Today, there was literally an interesting example. A girl, one of my close friends, told how she naturally learned to earn a decent amount while working in a cosmetic store as a student. And this was related to her gift of communicating with people. And the gift is simple. She always admires how a person looks, and she does it so sincerely, so genuinely, that it always resonates with you, and it is so pleasant. She always says, "Selena, how beautiful you are. Oh, what a beautiful blouse. Oh, what great makeup you have." You feel that warmth she transmits to you. It inspires you. You look at yourself and think, well, yes, I am good. I am beautiful. And thanks to this, her salary increased several times. Because of this, she was one of the best consultants in the store where she worked. Can you imagine such a professional skill? To be a person who is sincere, responsive, loves their job, loves their clients, and gives them a sense of value, self-worth, at the moment when they come to take care of themselves a little.
A very cool tool. Maybe you can mention a couple of tools that will work for the well-being and abundance of people's lives in 2025.
As I already said, it is self-development. A person's professional skill can be very high, but if a person does not know the laws of life, does not understand how the universe works, does not know how to deal with negative emotions, and does not understand how to easily get rid of stress, he does not understand how to manage his attention, his thoughts, which sometimes drive him crazy, does not understand how to relieve tension, and does not even know how tension affects his life. And when a person does not know how they are structured inside, how life happens through them, how it manifests, even having very high professional skills, they can have a very low income and many life problems, including with relationships and health. Therefore, the advice is to prioritize self-development. And this is advice that always works. And in 2025, it will be the most relevant, because primitive people are evolutionarily uninteresting to the system. But you understand, the system is evolving. If we look at nature, how it all happens, at animals, only the strongest, the most inventive, the most capable, or those who adapt to conditions, survive. And adapting to conditions is not about you dictating how to behave in the nature of life. You can't say here, turn off the rain, turn on the sun for me. You've already imagined it, autumn has come, and I want summer here. No, you can't say in nature, turn on the sun. You can fly to southern countries and sunbathe, for example, or turn on a light bulb at home. That's all you can do. So here, an evolutionary process is taking place, a change of the flywheel, a complete change of the system. You can't tell the earth, stop. You can't say, stop doing this to us. We want to live like before. You can only enter this process and start collaborating with it. The system requires a change in consciousness, a change in the expansion of consciousness, the knowledge of your divinity, the knowledge of your creative component, the knowledge of how your brain is structured, how your biochemistry is structured, how your bodies are structured, how your spiritual, logistical, emotional, and physical intelligence works, how they connect with each other, and how your material world is born as a result. And for the average person, what I'm saying now sounds like Chinese, but in reality, every person must know this. Then they can at least take responsibility for their life results, significantly enhance their professional skills in relation to others, and gain many more opportunities than they currently do. Here, even then, you don't need to study professionally if you are like the girl. Yes, I gave an example. When you understand how the mechanism of communication works and how to bring value to the world, if you understand how this works, then you just need to change yourself for everything to change outside, because everything happens through you, and there is no one else but you. Things can be whatever they are, but only you give them significance and value at any given moment, based on what you understand about life. And if you see that life is a terrible thing, it means you don't understand what you need to, and you need to reconsider your views on life. And here, self-development and the development of your intellects really help. To live is not to cross a field. And when we walk a path where the time of change dictates the rules of the game, we cannot impose them ourselves. We can only use these rules for our own benefit.
Selena, thank you for this amazing forecast, so clear and understandable, immediately realizing what needs to be done for 2025 to be the best and brightest year for you. I am sure our listeners will find what you told us today useful and interesting,